This is John C. Robinson with another episode of How to Identify Birds by Sight and by Sound. Today we're going to be looking at the common yellowthroat. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use the North American Bird Reference Book software, which is a software program I created a few years ago, and we're going to use that software program as a way to help you identify this bird. So if you have this software installed on your computer, you just click on the Reference Book 5.0 icon, which you see here on the desktop. And once we click on that icon, the program will start and we'll be ready to go into the reference book. To access the reference book, simply click the big button that says Reference Book on the main screen, and that'll bring us right into the North American Bird Reference Book. Now, once we're here, we want to find the record for the common yellowthroat, and we could do that simply by scrolling through the list of names over on the left-hand side until we find the bird that we want. But another easier way is to simply click on Find Record. And so by clicking on the Find Record button, that opens up this list box down here on the bottom. And once that's opened up, we can type the name of the bird we're looking for. In this case, it's common space yellowthroat. Okay, press the enter key, and now the record for the common yellowthroat is on the screen. Once we have the bird on the screen, we can see a variety of information. First of all, we have the natural history information, so we can quickly learn about where this bird is found, and we see that this bird is a species that is typically found in thickets or dense vegetation, usually near water, but you can also find them in more upland areas like brushy pastures and old shrubby or weedy fields, and this is especially true in the eastern United States. Speaking of the range map, we can certainly see that the range for the common yellowthroat is going to be displayed as a thumbnail image, and we can enlarge that map by clicking on it. And so now we have the entire range map for the common yellowthroat shown here. And what we see is that this is a bird that is found coast to coast. The red is the breeding area, green is the year-round, and blue is the wintering range. And this bird, as I said, is found coast to coast. The green is the year-round area, so this is where you're going to find them spending most of the winter. And although that is true, there always in the middle of the winter will be records north of that green area. This is a bird that is not not unexpected in the middle of the United States during the winter season, especially on Christmas bird counts. A few individuals can be found each year, but of course you have to work for them. I've seen them in Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, Pennsylvania, Ohio in the winter. So they will show up there, but you do have to look for them. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll exit out of this form, get back to the main screen for the reference book, and now let's take a look at the field marks. If we want to see a larger image of the bird, we just click on the image to see the larger image, and that brings up the image of the common yellowthroat. And now we're able to take a look at this. The male is typified by a yellowish underparts, an olive back and tail, and a yellowish throat. The female has very similar field marks as well. Now the male is distinguished by the black forehead and the black mask on the side of the face. So this is a very diagnostic trait of the common yellowthroat. Let's take a look at the female. We'll click on Show Next Image. And now we're looking at the female. This female of the common yellowthroat is a much duller bird, lacks wing bars, lacks the black forehead and the mask on the side of the face. And also note the yellowish throat and then the contrast between the yellow throat and the darker area on the side of the face. That'll be very important as we compare it with some of the other species, which could be very similar in appearance. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and exit out of this form. We do that by clicking the exit button. That brings us back to the main screen, and now we're able to compare the common yellowthroat with some other species. Um, we can do that by clicking on compare photos, and that brings us up the common yellowthroat, and we can now compare it with other species. So the female is the one that we're interested in. Let's get her on the screen first. So now we're looking at the common yellowthroat female, and again, let's compare it with some other species. Um, the first one that we'll do is the Nashville warbler. I think that'll be an excellent choice. So we type in Nashville warbler here, and now we have the Nashville warbler on the screen. So when we're looking at the Nashville warbler, note the yellow throat, but also note the very gray head and then the white eye ring. That's critical. Gray head, white eye ring. And when you compare that with the common yellowthroat, which does not have that grayish head and doesn't have that distinct white eye ring, we quickly see how we're able to distinguish these two species apart. All right, so now that we've seen that one, let's do the next one, which would be the yellow warbler. And the yellow warbler, easily, just talking about it is probably the easiest thing. The yellow warbler would have yellowish wing bars and yellowish tail spots. And of course, the common yellowthroat does not have that. So that one's easy to do. Let's go ahead and take a look at the two black beady eye species that are also yellow. The first of those would be the hooded warbler. And here's the female hooded warbler. And we should be able to get both of these birds in on the screen at the same time. Note the yellowish wash on the side of the face of the hooded warbler compared to the grayish color on the side of the face of the common yellowthroat. Very distinctive difference, and of course the black beady eye of the female hooded warbler. The female hooded warbler is also a bird that is normally will show white flashes in the tail, and when we pull up an image of the male, we can see on the underside there, we can see some of that whitish flash that it'll show to the viewers when you see this bird moving through the forest. All right, our last one is the Wilson's warbler, which also, like the hooded warbler, has a black beady eye. Here's the female for that species. And what we're looking at on this one now is, as you're looking at the Wilson's warbler, again, yellowish wash on the side of the face compared to this grayish area, grayish color on the side of the face for the common yellowthroat. All right, so let's go ahead and exit out of this screen. Now we're back to the main screen, and finally we can learn how to identify the common yellowthroat by playing its song. So this is what the male sounds like. You're listening for witchity, 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 witch. Okay, again, that's witchity, 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 witch. And this bird, because it has such a wide range, you'll see a lot of variety across its range. And you'll hear birds that give that song very fast, other birds which will give it very slow. But the cadence is always the same. So it doesn't matter if it's witchity, 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 witch, or witchity, 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 witch. The cadence is always same. Uh, Even though the speed at which it's given might differ a little bit. It also has a very distinctive call note, but and that can often be confused with the marsh wren. But once you learn this call note, this warbler can be very easy to find. So that's pretty much it for how to identify the common yellowthroat based on using the software. Now let's take the opportunity to see what it's like to identify this bird in real life.
All right, it's an early morning here in southeastern Ohio. We've arrived at a place where there's a lot of singing birds. I'm just going to let the tape run and let you hear some of the things that are happening out here. We have a common yellowthroat. and a eastern towhee that are singing. Witchety, 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 witch. That's the common yellowthroat. And we're going to come back over now to where the yellowthroat was calling. Witchety, 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 witch. So again, you should be able to hear that witchety, 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 witch. All right, there's one last call of the common yellowthroat. Witchety, 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 witch. And as we continue on here, we'll find more birds and teach you more about how to identify them by sound.